being equal, if I'm buying an air assisted airless today, it's hard to beat the value you get for $2,200 from total.
Great price.
It's a 14-to-1. You know,
the 14-to-1, and it's a Wagner gun, and
it runs on 7 CFM 6.5 or something like that. So yeah, you can do one compressor, but you can also do that with a smaller Kremlin too. Bigger one, you need to double them up. But yeah, all right.
I just mean all things being equal, and that's where I hope I qualify stuff all the time. I try to remember to, especially on here. I think we're both playing in the same world, but
yeah. Have you figured out a solution for the grip right problem with the cheaper stuff that's coming from China these days?
We only had one bad roll, and we're back to good rolls.
Are you talking the black print or the blue print?
The blue.
Yeah, I saw you putting them blue the other day. Yeah.
It's hard to find.
Last roll, maybe they're running out.
Yeah. I think Chris was the smart guy. He bought bulk and got his name put on it.
Dude, if you knew what my rep, I texted him today about it. I had my reps with me. They've been calling GripRite trying to buy 2 pallets with my logo on them, and they can't get anybody at GripRite to take them seriously. So I'm going to Rings End now to try to do it with them. But these companies, they don't care. Like, they're like, wait, you're a painter? How many rolls did you use this year? They're like, yeah, we used, this guy just did a roof and used 400 roll. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, dude, the multiple use of it. I mean, first of all, it was only a roofing laminate. That's all they used it for. Now it is, hang on a minute, painting companies are using this for floor covering?
You would think they would. I've been talking to Trimaco about trying to get them to make one.
Yeah.
Terrible. Because they're already marketing to paint contractors. They're already sold at Sherwin-Williams. And if they would just make a comparable product
at a reasonable price, yeah,
they'd crush.
It's a game changer for anybody that's not using it.
It is.
Game changer. That lady asked me today when I was down there. She says, well, the room is ready. The whole apartment is ready for you. It's covered in paper. I said, first thing I do, all this comes up. You see, what's wrong with it?
Paper.
Yeah. She said, what's wrong with it? I said, because it's paper. Yeah. I said, no, roofing laminate. You can believe it. Yeah. Yeah. Once you get bitten by the old the GripRite bug, there's no going back.
Oh my God! Thinking about rosin paper and that horrible feeling of like breaking it and having it break off under your feet and trying to tape dirty rosin paper.
Here's one I've been meaning to ask you because I've been thinking about it, and I know Chris just got one. I always try to weigh the pros and cons. You've got a heater, if you heat Holland Black 98, do you need to thin it as much? Do you get a higher build when you heat it? Have you heated it and sprayed it?
All right, but so let's talk about fluid dynamics. 100%. If you heat it, you don't have to thin it nearly as much. I would imagine there's a temperature you can heat it to where you never have to thin it.
Yeah.
And yes, the build will absolutely be higher because you're putting on a higher solids product.
Correct. Right. So that I see that being one of the big pluses of the heater. Not the Eco. We heat it, in the colder weather all the time. Not with a $3,000 heater. We just heat it up in boiling water our own way. There's no way to control it, Zach, as you know.
Yeah.
But still, heated paint performs so much better than non-heated paint. It just Eco loves to be warm. It flows out. We sprayed 2 doors side by side. I think 2 years ago on Lester and I. We were playing. We were experimenting, and we took the exact same gun and the same tip, and we heated the paint on one door, and we didn't heat it on the other one. We let them dry, and then compared the finishes with a Sys light and looked at them, and at least a 50% improvement on the finish.
Dude, hey, John Leahy just agreed to buy you a $3,000 piece of equipment. It's right there in writing.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Leahy is the man.
What did you say?
See this comment? John just said he's going to send you the paint heater.
Oh.
Boom. You guys use so much eco, you deserve it. But so my question to that is, what about with dark colors, right? Because let's be fair, like you could get away with murder with satin white.
Yeah.
Right? But you go put black satin on.
Are you talking eco now, or are you talking Holland black?
Eco.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, when I sprayed that eco through that heater, it was a magical experience. Now there could be some context to this because I was losing my mind. I've never had a harder spray job. I sprayed it 3 times.
That exterior you were doing in tough humidity. Yeah. All right.
With an airless. We talk about this all the time at finishing school. Spray theory, right? The size of the paint particle dictates how much film thickness you have to have before it will lay out, right? And if I have bigger paint particles, I need a thicker film before they lay out to coalesce. When you get those tiny paint particles, you can put a thinner mill build and get it to lay out like glass. So when I pulled the trigger with that Wagner, with that Eco, having pulled the trigger 3 times with an airless, with a 410 or 308 tip, it was like night and day. The paint particle size alone. It was like this fine mist versus, you know what an airless is like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm giddy thinking about it. And the way I was able to spray out those walls, and I was racing with the airless. And if I get the difference between getting little pinholes because it didn't come together, and the other side of the spectrum, which was drips, the margin for error could not have been smaller. And so you had to be literally humanly perfect, or you failed because of the film thickness that you need from an airless. When I turned on that air-assisted airless with heated up paint, oh my God.
So you didn't find that adding the air to the Eco gave you a problem?
I didn't add very much air at all.
Right, because
I ran it like pretty much like an airless with a little bit of air.
All right.
But the only way I was able to do that is with the paint heater, right? Otherwise, I would have had to thin it. But I didn't want to add extender because I had dry time issues. So I was trying to get it to dry as fast as possible. And I almost put accelerator in it. So I did that last time, but I decided, you know what? And then the heat acted as an accelerator.
Sorry, Zach. I'm not familiar with the Wagner tips, but if you were to compare it to a Kremlin tip, what orifice size were you using?
Small. I don't know. I don't know.
You sound like Peter.
You know.
Peter Falken would always give me that answer. Oh, I don't know. I just turn it up and I just go.
My guys know the orifice sizes, and we have sort of like one that we use for oil and one that we use for the water based.
Yeah, I know all my orifice sizes. All right. I guess that I'd figure that.
But so to answer your question, I think that you guys should come up on a weekend and let's play with paint in the spray booth and heat it through the Wagner and run the different temperatures and lay out samples and let's have some fun.
I'd be all game for that. My brain buzzes about this stuff. So
let's what up.
Question months ago, 6 months ago, probably, because that's the way my brain. As soon as I hear this, I go, how does this? How do they compare? And I want to know because
Are you testing your viscosity of your paint?
I guess yes, but I don't use a cup. I have a great feel.
It's time to get your number 4 cups and test your viscosity because you might have a good feel, but you might have had a rough night last night and your feel's a little off. Your guys, how do you communicate with words? Feel, right? How do we get predictability in our finish? Thinning ratio is not a clear indicator of viscosity. Right? That I used to go, well, we thin it 32% or we thin it 20%. That is a ludicrous thing to say now when you really think about what does that equal. Well, if the temperature is 20 degrees off, that could be completely different viscosities.
And it changes with the color of the paint.
Yes, it changes with the color.
Yeah, it changes with the color.
And
those dark colors, ooh, you
they flow.
yeah.
Right? And that's where, for me, it was experience on the job site combined with teaching this stuff. As finishing school has made me better in our standard practice. Because when you teach best practice to somebody, now you have to go practice it every day, right? Have we gotten away with poor habits because we have a feel, like you said? Of course. But is that how we're going to, bring up young apprentices to the best of our abilities?
That system's coming in. You literally should be able to almost write a book. You're almost bringing me back to Nick Slavic, because he has very simple ways of setting up but he keeps to a system, and it's just the same system over and over and over. This is what we do. Long as they can think through that, long as they can think through how do they get, they have to understand the concepts to be able to change when the parameters change.
You still have to know the concepts. But if we are designing a system so that when we go to pull the trigger, this is what we teach at school. When you go to pull the trigger, can you look to your God, whatever it is, and say, I've done every single thing in my power to ensure a quality result? And I will say 99 out of 100 painters that are going to paint tomorrow did not. I was not taught to, and I sure wasn't enabled. I wasn't empowered to, right? I wasn't doing, now we do a full-scale sample along the way with the project the whole way, right?
Really?
We go to spray a ceiling. Well, the day before, we have a sample board that's been sprayed. The same primer that's up there is on the sample board. It's been sprayed, horizontal, upside down. And it's a direct simulation of what we're about to go do. So now when I go and I spray that and I wait till it dries, so we do it the night before, right? So 3 or 4 hours of a workday I might commit to doing this. But that's cheap insurance, because if I spray that ceiling and I get drips, that's thousands and thousands of dollars of a repair.
No, you're right.
And so if I spent a few $100s to ensure a predictable outcome, of course. But no one ever taught us this. No one ever empowered me as a painter to take a few hours and practice or simulate what I'm going to go do on the big stage. It was always just like, go, hurry up. And how many problems have we had? If we just had a sample board that we had brought along with us the whole way, it was one step ahead, we could have avoided before we went to spray. It's sick when I think about it.
That is a good practice, yeah.
And it costs pennies, in the scheme of things.
Yeah, okay. It helps, but as you described the other night, it still doesn't solve every problem. You still get problems that show up.
You do, but
you have to. Just said you've done best practice. You've tried to see it in advance, but sometimes you don't know how that coating's going to perform. Like you said, the black.
But we didn't do it in that case. So we did not practice because it wasn't gloss. We overthought. We undervalued it. And so that's what I mean. Like, it's knowing best practice and practicing best practice are two very different things. And it's hard. But if you're building systems, it's like, hey, where's your vertical sample board that has the same primer that's on that cabinet right now? And where is the sample where you sprayed it with the same paint, with the same sprayer, in the same environment? And if you can show me that and you had great results, now if there's an issue with the cabinetry, hey man, we did everything we could do. But if you don't have that sample board that's vertical with the same primer, with the same paint, the same sprayer, did you do everything you could possibly do to guarantee that finish? No. And that has been a revelation for me as we try as professionals, we are trying to give a the most predictable finish. When we step up that final day, after all those hours, we always talk of finishing school. I always, there's like a rush of like, I'm spraying and I really don't know what's going to happen. Like I did most of it, but like, there was a rush of like, I don't know what's going to happen. Right. I'm trying to take that away.
Just like all finishes or just, Brilliant or Satin oils?
Honestly, I would say all sprayed finishes. And really it should be all brush finishes. So we go to Home Depot and we buy MDF.
Yep.
They sell 2x4 sheets, 2 foot by 4 foot squares, and then
4x8s.
I have them cut them down.
Yeah, we do the same.
Into 1x1 squares, and there's real thin. We prime 80 at a time, and why wouldn't I take 3 of those and bring them along with me as I today's prep day? All right, prime that one today. Okay, we sand it, and if you've done the same gallon of primer, the same sandpaper, the same machine, in the same space, you now can say I've done everything in my power to ensure a positive result.
Works when you know what you're dealing with, Zach, but sometimes, as some of our brothers that are watching here today, you don't know what the substrate is. You're going in, let's say, to do a kitchen refinish, and there's a clear coat there. You have no idea what that clear coat is. You have no idea if there's been pledge or wax or anything put on. You really are just...
Okay, so in that instance, it's what we talked about Sunday night. Now we do that sample on that door. The backside of a door, we put that coating system on it.
That would be good.
Before we ever start the project. Now,
how many variables with those coatings?
This is a mindset change, right? Okay, I'm going to take this cabinet door from you, client, 2 weeks before I start your project. I'm going to now spend however many hours in the shop it takes for me to work this coating system through. I'm going to do all of those things before I set foot on the job site. So how many of us are doing that?
Detailed inventory of the whole process, in conjunction with that door.
Yeah, that's an ideal world. Yeah, you're able to go and get a door off.
But it's an ideal world. But shouldn't we be doing everything in our power to make that world happen? Because what does it truly cost us versus what is the cost of it going wrong?
And failure, for sure. If you don't.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you on that. If it's at all possible to do it,
if it's at all possible,
yeah,
we should be systematizing this, right? This is cheap insurance because we know that when we have to pay off that claim.
I could see that being an advantage. Let's say Jody went and priced the job and he got the job. I'm going to grab a door a week before we start the project to test, to see see if we have any issues with bonding with whatever primer we decide to use, whether it be Hollandac oil or whether it be uni primer. Which one will give us the better bond? We want to try. We want to see. We want to test coatings. I see somebody commenting on shellac there.
I think he was only joking.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm not a big...
I saw Mickey chimed in about the one with the pledge too. Yeah, he just had that. He was talking to Kieran about it with an issue that he had with some product that was on top. He figured it out as soon as he saw it. But
because guess what? If you did that, right?
Yeah,
you find out they've been pledging it. Hey, client, I have to charge you more. Oh, I don't want to pay more. All right, I'll refund your deposit. Have a nice day. Disaster avoided.
Yeah.
Right? That is so different than I have taken apart your kitchen. I have masked it all off. I've sanded it all. And now I find out my coating system is going to fail. I have to take it on the chin now and strip this stuff. Well, if I had been a professional, right, if we were designing a franchise system for professionals, we would say, go a week in advance, take a cabinet door and run it through its process.
You know what? There's, I know Mickey's listening. I think that's actually a great idea, Zach. I think that's something I'm going to build into our systems for kitchen, because that's the one spot that most failures happen is kitchen. cabinets.
It's the Achilles heel because you don't know what the hell's
You
on.
don't know what's on there. You can't see the grease. You can't see the olive oil and whatever other oils have vaporized and stuck to the coating. I mean, yes, you know, everybody should standard practice be washing them down with TSP as a first step, but not everybody does. They just think it looks clean and then they start sanding, and now they created a bigger problem because sanding over a clear coat without washing it first, recipe for disaster.
And I mean, I'm bidding a ton of cabinet projects through the phone, like through pictures. I don't look at almost any cabinet project anymore.
You're not going.
So no, and so
Are you the
you know,
side that does all the estimating, or do you somebody else go out?
I do all the estimates.
Yeah, same as me.
So, but what my bid is step by step what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So if I do this right, and I run into the issue, hey, now I go, hey, this process, this scope is for 99% of cabinet projects, but your cabinet project is not fitting into that.
Are you putting a disclaimer in your bid?
No, I don't.
Director?
But we should probably.
We do,
but
yeah.
I wouldn't feel bad looking at a client and saying, hey, this is not what I expected. I could continue to do what's here, and you're going to have a very poor paint job, or you have to pay me a change order to change my process.
Yeah, we ended up putting I can't think of the name of the section that we put in the contract, unforeseen circumstances or something, about situations like, it's very general, but it pertains to, you know, in the process of, you know, doing your kitchen cabinets or doing your dining room built-in or whatever it is. If we find ourselves in a situation that's not covered in our scope of work, you know, the same thing with you know, there has to be a conversation with the client, discussion about it, and because it's above and beyond what would be considered our scope of work, there, you know, if it needs to be addressed prior to moving forward, there has to be, you know, an additional change order issue. So yeah, so we also put another one in for sampling. I don't want to get off your subject.
No, keep going, please. I love it.
We put another one in for sampling. We found ourselves over a period of time ending up just eating a ton of samples on different projects. And we had to figure out how we were going to kind of rein that pony in. Because sometimes if clients, and especially if there are decorators involved, not every one of them, but some of them, they will set up meetings. Some of them, you know, we've just, through our experience, have found is that they will make you do samples. They'll set up meetings and the whole thing because they can invoice for that as, you know, consult and all that stuff. So what, you know, it happened to us on one particular project in Bedford, just as Kieran and I were getting together. I was coming off Finglas, he was coming off Cassidy. He came up, he was on the job one day and we were wrapping it up, and tons of sample cans in the basement. What are all these samples? And, you know, I could tell you what we actually ate in samples, but I prefer to think of it as not the money I lost, but the education I got from that. We provide, again, in our contract, 2 samples per room. If you've got 10 rooms, you've got 20 samples. You've got 30, you know, if you've got 20 rooms, you've got 40 samples, whatever. You know, when I say to the decorator, I've only 2 samples per room. I said, look, you've got 40 samples on this job. You can use them any way you want. I don't care if you use 5 in one room or 1 in the other. You know, generally that's what they don't feel like they're not getting their value.
But it stops you where they start. They want to see 5 off-whites in one room, and they just expect you to just buy it. It takes time to make samples, to buy them.
And we're charging between $50 and $75 a sample. And not that we want that money, but you want to rein that pony in. Because you
want to incentivize good behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, they'll run with it. And we've all been there looking at the walls and just not understanding how you can't pick an off-white. It's one or the other.
I do put that in, especially on bigger projects,
and
with designers that I know use different colors all the time.
Yeah.
I just submitted a bid for a fairly large project, and it says there are 8 samples included in this. All the rest are extra.
Yeah.
But another thing.
Samples per room?
No, total.
Total, okay.
Yeah. You know, this
what Jody was referring to before giving an example, a lot of the jobs in the
This
city,
guy went through 30 wall samples looking.
you're going to come across situations that you can't see in advance. And one of those would be where you've looked at a job, they want to do X finish over the existing finish. And you know you're going to sand that finish down and create a nice new substrate to start building your system. And when you start that process, all of a sudden you find that they've painted latex over oil and you've got 30 doors on this apartment and they're all sheeting off, and they don't just cleanly sheet off, pieces come off all over. That's an unforeseen. That's where that
happened
in
to
the
us.
contract will cover you. You could come back to the client and they can't say nothing because that's an unforeseen. You can't see that in advance. You can't see what's underneath all these layers.
She was very good about it. The client was very good about it because we were the second painter that was involved in the project. We took over a small portion of it. We were there for a week and she asked us would we bid the rest. It turned out to be really, really good, big job for us about 2 years ago. And we were just back in the building today and in the apartment today doing a couple of little things for her. But that's what happened. Kieran called me and he says, you got to get down here. He said, these doors are peeling. You know, so rather than, you know, causing, you know, any panic, the first thing I do is I call the decorator. I said, Ariel, we got a problem down here with the doors. Can you meet me down there? She goes over, she looks, what's the problem? We're scraping the latex off them with a 5-in-1. He said, you know, I said, this is not what we have in our scope of work. How do we proceed? Let's get a meeting. Have a meeting with the client. She's there. This is what we have. You know, I'm a firm believer rather than talking to somebody about what the problem is, showing them what the problem is, if it's at all possible. Because, you know, the doors look fine. I don't know what the problem is. Problem is we can't go over them because we're pulling this stuff off. We showed it to the client. She agreed. We issued a change order. She approved it.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the doors.
It was everything. Yeah.
Once you know, because I don't get to see the jobs. Jody sells them. I go in and then I start putting my eagle eye on stuff and start doing stuff. And all of a sudden, that job, it was every inch of trim, every door, and the entire bookcase. Remember?
Yeah.
And it was all done.
That's why I think it's so important that we don't write our proposals and say, I'm going to paint the bedroom. Right?
No, you itemize and break it down.
Hey, I'm going to paint the ceiling with this coating and this process. I'm going to paint the trim with this process and these coatings. And I'm going to paint the walls with these coatings and this process.
Yeah.
Now you're paying X number of dollars for these things. If new things come up, hey, if it requires a third coat on the walls, hey, I'm charging for 2.
Yeah.
So this is not say I will paint your walls. This is I will put 2 coats of this product on your walls. And if it's more, that's not on me. You know.
Yeah, I think that's just, you know, first of all, clear language in your proposal or your contract, definitive language that's very easily understood. You know, we will, you know, we send out our anything that's over, I think it's $5,000, we send a contract. It's a 4-page contract. We've just been doing it because it just covers us in so many ways. We get a signed copy of it back with a check before we start. And even if it's 2, 3, 4 weeks down, because what we've been discovering, and I think you can probably back me up on that, it's, you know, the incentive for a client to move forward with a project, you know, and you've been able to put it on your schedule. If they make a financial investment when they sign that document, even though it's a month away, they're going to move forward with it. It's rare they don't.
But it's aligning incentives.
Yeah, it is. And if they don't pay you a deposit, no, it's, you know, we'll get to it next year. You've already blocked off the time that you got to fill up, and now you've just a 2-week gap in your schedule. Which, so you know, we've been implementing a bunch of those, and it's just worked for us. But again, communication. If you see there's a problem on a project, stop, communicate, talk to you know, you can't go directly to the client. I mean, you know, even though you seem like it's a, you know, an easy thing to do, but you know, you got to follow the chain of command. Decorator hires you, you go to her, you let her bring that information to the client, set up a meeting, and it seems to be a little bit easier, at least in our market. It's a little easier in that regard. Doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously we're blessed. We have clients where if something comes up, like obviously, you know, the client has the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
This is my life savings or my savings that I've saved to pay for this bedroom to be repainted. And if something massive happens, I don't have the money. We're lucky that we do, at least we play in a market where those things are, you know, I don't wonder, can my client afford this change order?
Yeah.
And I was just listening to a podcast about that the other day, and the Modern Craftsman, I love those guys. And they were talking about, like, why am I going to take it on the chin?
Yeah.
Why am I like, what am I like going to do extra work and not get paid for? Why am I going to do all the sampling unpaid? What are we talking about here?
You know,
a guy that wants the nice thing in his house.
I think you said it right earlier on about, you know, when you started out your career. I think we've all been there where you kind of feel like, you know, I'm just glad to be working, you know, so I got to put an extra coat on, so I do it, I don't. You know, the longer you go into this and the more confident you get, and you know that you're providing quality and concern for your client's well-being in what it is that you're doing, you're going to stop and you're going to step up and you're going to say, look, this is what we need to do here. It's not in our scope of work. And you're just being honest, because the days of taking it on the chin and losing money, just well behind. I mean, if you're still doing that, you know, maybe, you know.
Yeah, I can tell you what you've done wrong if you're still doing that.
Yeah.
You haven't done sales and marketing right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I send prices off. If you don't hire me, all right. I have options now.
Yeah.
I never had options. I never thought marketing was important. I thought it was good paint jobs set you free. Well, that's the biggest lie going. Good paint jobs do not set you free.
No,
they do not equal financial freedom.
That was my whole life until I had a good marketer here. We didn't go anywhere. I just kept doing good paint jobs, but nobody knew about them because so I just went from job to job. It's all about marketing the good work you do. We love to do good work, and you want to market that good work and get better work, and just
it's about having options.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I have options. Hey, this is my price. These are my terms. I need these things. And if you don't think that's a good idea, or you don't want to do that, hey, no worries. Like, good luck. Call somebody else. Like, we're not going to be a good fit. And then I never think about that job again.
Yeah, you just put it out of your mind. You move on.
In the past, it was like, oh my God, somebody called me to pay. I have to hold on for dear life.
It goes on the. I tag it right away in our Trello board. No action, and it goes right to the end, and that's it. It's gone forever. You know, I can find it if I need it, but it's way over to the right. Way over there.
Every once in a while, like today, I was looking for. We have a couple gloss stores coming up, and I was looking through the client through my CRM, looking for the client through my CRM, and another client had the same first name as her that I'd given a bid to years ago, and I saw the name come up, and like, you know, horrible client, didn't want to pay. We were so expensive. I can't believe you want to charge that much. Hey, have a good day. I never have to think about you again.
Yeah.
In the past, I was like, oh, all right. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to just randomly change my price for you for no reason? Okay. I would love to change my price for no reason. It came from nowhere. It means nothing. I'm not worth anything. Like, now it's like, hey, I have a business. I'll lay my people off before I will take and pay someone to paint their house again.
Yeah.
I've paid to paint too many people's homes.
Look, I understand in lean times, you will do certain things to ensure that your men are busy. You will take projects at a rate that, you know, you generally wouldn't, so you can keep them working. That's a different thing.
All day.
Yeah, we all understand that. But taking a job that you know you're going to lose money on because a client doesn't think it's the right price for her, you just walk away.
But that, to me, that's where, like, at this point, like, I'll lay my people off and double down on marketing during that time period to bring in a job that will pay. And that was not an equation. That was not an equation that I understood. I didn't understand if I had more demand, I could say no to more jobs and charge more money.
Yep.
I just, like, how many guys I talk to? Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. All right, well, what's your hourly rate? Well, I charge $25 an hour. Dude, then what are you doing? Charge more. Well, I won't have any work. Well, I thought you said you were so busy. I thought you said you don't need an Instagram account. What do you like? No, this is a supply and demand equation.
I mean, we can all stay busy, Zach.
It's not hard.
It's staying profitable is the difficult part, right?
Staying busy is a ludicrous thing to say.
Yeah, I'm very busy. Very busy.
So I'm busy.
Yeah.
Everyone loves me because I'm cheap as heck. You'll always win a job by moving your price and by being the lowest price. I am the highest price on every job I win. That requires sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Right? But that allows me to actually be able to pay people top dollar and we execute and we get to execute. And if we need an extra coat on that door, hey, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, quality, you're conscious about, and not only that, you guys walk onto a job, it's like, you played a great video the other day about the boys putting down a grip right. And it's just so pleasurable to look at because it's just, that stage, the first step, well, if you take the furniture out, but that first step of the setup system. And there's something so pleasurable about it, us or me looking at it because you know what's next and and you're looking at the steps that are layered onto that. I tried to explain to somebody the other day about a kitchen that we priced, and I had said something to her. I said we're a good painting company. We pride ourselves on the work that we do, but there's a lot of other guys out there. But we're just using the systems that painters should use in the 21st century. I mean, we're not painting like painters painted 20 years ago. We're not hand sanding everything, and we're not dust all over the place.
Well, Zach likes the hand sand.
Well, no, there's a place for everything, that. But there's, you're not, the kitchen's not full of dust and all the,
We're running air scrubbers.
Running air scrubbers.
Hey, I'm scrubbing your air, lady.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning your home.
Yeah.
While I'm in your home.
That's
how I sell it.
Yeah, putting charcoal filters in if there's, if there's oil or anything like that. And that's what it is that we all do, and I think that's what kind of, sets us apart because we put all that effort, invested all that, time and money and everything into what it is. That we do.
It's funny sometimes the comments the clients come out and they describe you something like like you're going to Mars or something. The amount of equipment that you bring in to do a simple job, they can't. It blows their mind. The amount of equipment we bring in to just do a simple job, to do it professionally, keep their environment clean, to sand everything, professionally and minimize the dust, just to do a really good job. It requires a huge amount of equipment and having the right equipment. So it is one.
And how many days, the number of man hours that we're going to spend masking that room in that video.
Right.
But we are slowing down to speed up.
Yeah.
Right? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And we are so it's funny, in that video, tomorrow I'm going to make a post. So I might wait till we get it fully masked. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to take a picture of it fully masked. I went out and I bought a laser level. And if you can see in that video, now everybody go watch it.
I see a little green dot.
I have a tripod that I'm moving around. Right? I've been in this insane sarcastic humor funk where I'm just laughing so hard at myself. And so I have a picture where we took the laser to tape our lines.
Oh God.
Down our thing. Now we didn't actually tape to the laser. There's straight lines on the grip right. They're already on the grip right. You just tape to them. But it's like the whole thing of we are going to we're taking the time to use a laser to make our lines straight. Right? That's the kind of stuff that
I get you. But some people pick up on that stuff.
And this is a spoof, and I returned their laser that same day, and it was just a fun thing for Instagram. It was all for the gram, as what Pete just said.
Get somebody on there that will see that and will pick up on it.
But the real part about that is, but when we do lay out our masking, we are taping those lines as straight as humanly possible, right? We are taking the time to think about how does our masking look, right? That is one step beyond what is utility only, for utility's sake, right? Because masking is to protect things. but we're in a performance art, right? I like to talk about sommeliers, right? Sommeliers have been proven. It's scientifically proven through brain scans that a sommelier will make the same bottle of wine taste better. Well, that doesn't make any sense, right? I thought we were objective creatures that knew that we were computers. But no, when it's presented in a certain way and a certain story is told,
Yeah.
we think that we taste the wine differently. Well, same thing with paint jobs, because it's subjective. So when the paint job is delivered in a certain way, it's perceived in a certain way. I can't remember the last time I had a piece of blue tape put on a project. And I charge way more money than all the times when I got blue tape everywhere. And it's not because I'm doing a better paint job. It's because my process and the experience for the client is fundamentally different.
There's just, they just know. I think we talked about that room that we lost the whole apartment, but we ended up coming back and doing his kind of den room in this, it was high gloss, it was painted by the other painter. He hated it, so we brought us in. We done the mat on the walls. We talked about that. Just from that interaction with him, not dealing with the lady of the house, dealing with him, he got what he wanted. He then got us in to do the entry foyer. Had to do the entry foyer, all the trim for the wallpaper guy, and I think the dining room is next, and we're going to do the kitchen. So it just, he was happy for a change. He got what he wanted.
Yeah.
And you get a bunch of other stuff. It's just. And look, as well as I do, a happy client, is an endorsement for forever. Friends are going to come, they're going to look, so you're going to like this, you get the call, all of that stuff. And I don't think it works any differently anywhere else,
No.
Do you think you could have built this business without fine paints?
It would have been way harder. No, fine paints has been the lead catalyst, if not even really it's what changed my mindset.
Yeah,
right. It's right. Same here. Yeah.
I did the best work, some of the best work I've ever done in my life, using Sherwin-Williams Alkyd Acrylic Pro Classic. Because it's most of it's in the prep work when you're talking about satin white. Let's be real. We did multiple coats of primer, multiple coats of nail hole filling, insanely detailed sanding, right? And then we sprayed our top coat with absurd attention to detail. Now, for me to get what it costs to do that with Sherwin-Williams paint, I came to the realization after that project, I gave them a sample of FPE. Yesterday, I sprayed samples. This weekend, I sprayed samples with that old quart, the first quart of FPE I ever bought. And I sprayed out a sample with it. I used a Graco handheld. This is how insane it was. And I sprayed out a sample. And I went and I tried to sell them an FPE as great, and then the double coat of primer, 2 coats of Sherwin-Williams as good, and then just single coat of primer, and then top coat as the base level. And they bought the middle one. And then I kept struggling to sell that higher level product. And so when I went to FPE, now my price is different because I'm using a different product and a different process. I'm not just using a different process. And I've seen a massive difference in how much easier it is to sell a project when you're using something fundamentally different.
But because you could paint the same room with the exact same color, FPE products versus a competitor, any one of the domestics, and you pick their color and FPE will match it. But the saturation of the pigments and the way the paint is, it just has completely different, more exotic.
We talk about it in the sales process now, though, because that's where we get the money, right? The client doesn't see those walls. I have to tell them about them, and I have to be convinced. But I've seen the difference, and I will tell the client, because of the lack of fillers and because of the lack of porosity, the light's going to reflect off those walls, and your room is going to glow that color, and you will feel it, right? Because clients they're talking about feelings. They're buying on feelings, not on logical things.
Well, they do. One of the first things that every client will do with any fit.
Instantly.
feel it. It's
And
a
they always touch the
very
one
important-
imperfect spot, if there is one. They always go right to it.
Yeah.
But yes, and so when you have a product, a paint product, that is head and shoulders above all the others, and when it's touched and felt, it's clearly palpably different. Like when I first started selling this stuff, the only way I got any jobs is bringing sample boards to the sales meeting, right? Now my sales process is probably not as good as it could be because we have such a strong reputation coming in the door. We don't generally bring samples to clients in the sales meetings anymore because they want us. You know, they're not bidding the job.
Yeah.
And they just want us. And
Yeah, but sometimes you go into a job and you didn't get called in to do an FE job. You got called in because the decorator knows you're a great painter and they've already sold the job in Farrow and Ball. And now you've got to do your job and educate them. And it's a process to educate. And sometimes it's a delicate process because...
Well, we've learned.
No, I just tell them the Farrow and Ball is garbage paint.
Well, yeah,
I tell them it's garbage paint. It's an amazing marketing company.
But I don't sell, so I upsell when
it's a little bit difficult, especially in New York with the designers. Usually, what I do is I'll go to the designer first, and I'll say, is there any reason why this is a Farrow and Ball job? Well, we use Farrow and Ball, and then it's a very easy transition for me to make to fine paints because they know fine paints is a better product. They just think it's completely out of their range. I said, we will do this whole apartment in Fine Paints of Europe for the same price as Farrow and Ball.
If it's gloss, we'll do it for cheaper.
Yeah.
Than if it's Farrow and Ball gloss.
We found ourselves in a situation down on Hudson Yards where we were involved in a Farrow and Ball project. There was a couple of people involved in it. It was my first interaction with the client, who was a very, very famous guy, and the decorator. We didn't know anybody coming in there except the colorist that recommended the paint. He hired the colorist. So there was a kind of a triangle. There was the client, there was the decorator, and there was this colorist. There was a colorist. And we were just stuck in the middle. And we ended up doing a bunch of the Farrow and Ball stuff, and particularly in what was the black hallway entry foyer.
The entire job was Farrow and Ball, and I sprayed every 3 colors, 3 finishes per room flawlessly. But go ahead. But now Johnny will tell you what we had to do after the job was done.
Well, first of all, then they do aftermarket stuff, putting this in, and there was a whole thing of it, new lights, new this, new that, new the other.
I even did high gloss.
What ended up happening was in one of the biggest areas, you walk into the entry of this apartment, it's the penthouse of 15 Hudson Yards. You go right into the living room, you're looking right down onto Lady Liberty and everything else. Entry floor is all black ceiling, black wall. No, blackened, right?
No, it wasn't black.
Anyway, it was one of those dark colors, right? Entry hall all the way down into the rooms, dark, funky lights. It was really crazy. But I get a call one day, and he calls me. He said, "Johnny, I got a problem with this product." And he said, "You can't even touch this stuff." So when we go in, there's hand marks, handprints everywhere. On all this one, couldn't touch it. I said, "I think it's the cleaning lady." He said, I didn't pay for this. He said, can we figure something out? And we were doing a bunch of other stuff in the apartment, and I called him. I said, "There's only one way to do this." He says, get a 5 of Eurolux matte. I'm fucking sick of this. Excuse me for swearing. He said, "I'm sick of this." He said, get a 5 Eurolux matte. We'll coat out the walls. I said, "We can't charge him for it." I said, "Well, we'll add it. We were doing T&M and a bunch of other things. We'll add it in to make it. 1 coat, fine paints, Eurolux matte."
Yeah, we were stuck in the politics of we couldn't convert it in the beginning because we didn't know that the designer, we knew the colorist, and we were caught in between the two of them.
So this is where social media is going to be your friend.
I know Farrow and Ball. You breathe on it and it does scuff practically. It's pretty. It has nice finishes, but durability between 0 and 3. I mean, and people don't get that, and it's just.
By the end of the project, I had said to the decorator, "So you realize I had to eat $3,000 to do these walls for Chris." She said, I'm so sorry about that." I said, you have to understand, moving forward, we're not going to use this product again. I said, any work we do for you in the future is going to be all fine paints. And she said, no problem. And that was just it. That was it. And we done.
I converted a bunch of stuff. I converted the bathrooms. I did the doors in high gloss in fine paints that he expect with Farrow and Ball. And I just said, I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to do the oil. I'm not even going to tell him. And I just did them we just did it. The owner seen the difference.
I liked it, but the guy came by and said, that's not what I expect. I said, at this stage, I was just at the end of it. I said, dude, I don't know what to tell you. He wanted high gloss. The best high gloss I can get my hands on is that. What can I tell you? I'm sorry. That was the end of that, But yeah, I mean,
I think that when you come to the relationship as a resource, right, as a tool for the designer to get what they're after. Now, my job is to go, hey, no, what do you want out of this paint? What is it? The exact color on the swatch that you want? Is it the exact color of the wallpaper that you want? Like, what is it that you want out of this paint? Why Farrow and Ball? Because we can get you that in any way, shape, or form. You just have to tell me what it is, and let me tell you why. And we've never used Farrow and Ball paint. I've never touched a gallon of Farrow and Ball paint, and I hope to never. Well, I won't. I'll tell you, I just won't.
There's no reason to use it.
It doesn't make any sense. And we can do whatever you want. We just sent wallpaper to Vermont for the job we're on now, and they color match the wallpaper. What is it? Is it this exact gallon? Because with 10 gallons of Farrow and Ball are going to be 10 different shades of that color, right?
We don't even put it in as an option anymore. I send my dad, I got a call the other day. She said, I don't understand. What is, you're doing, we're doing a project in Tuxedo Park, across the bridge here, and the designer says to me, what, I didn't specify this. I said, we're doing it in both of those cabinets in the Butler's Pantry. We're going to do them in Eco Satin. And she didn't understand. She thought FBE was only the glossy paint. I was on the phone with her in an hour, and she said, fine, that's okay. Yeah, well, I said it'll be better than whatever it was you were thinking of using with Ben Moore or whatever it was. I said it'll be 100 times better. It's going to be beautiful. It's okay. And I said, do you realize they have a full line of paints? She said, I just thought it was the shiny ceiling stuff. No. Let me run you through it. So we're doing the ceilings in your looks flat. We're doing the walls in your looks, walls and ceiling, your looks flat, trim and cabinetry, Eco Sand. End of story. It's not an option anymore. That's just the way it is. You want to pay me to use a cheaper paint? Okay. Can't guarantee it.
No, I was like, all right, somebody else. Have fun. Call somebody else.
Yeah.
All right. We could go for 2 more hours.
Yeah.
We've gone for 3 hours. So we're going to wrap up with our standard 3 questions. So I need you guys to give me, each of you can answer these questions. So we'll get twice the answers, twice the fun. I need a DIY painting tip.
DIY painting tip. Always make sure you cover your floors before you start a DIY project. Come on, Zach. Come on.
It's everything. You have to start there.
Come on, Kieran.
And if you don't use a laser level to make your tape lines, and
who
are you?
Yeah. Come on.
Do it. Jeez. Use out. No, should I? No, I won't say that one. Build your finish with primer. Build your finish with primer.
Yep.
I would say to anybody, even the professionals, build your finish with primer. 3 coats of primer outweigh. Well, they build the required mill thickness that allows you to put on top coats that will last longer if you build your primers. So that would be my DIY.
Love it. Somebody just asked a question about painting knockdown texture. I don't think either of us have knockdown texture in our markets. Oh. So unfortunately, we can't help you on that one. And I am so grateful there is a paint god, because we don't have to paint textured walls.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would just
Ever like you go like travel across the West, like I was in Arizona, like every single wall is textured. You're just like you're having like a heart attack. My anxiety was through the roof.
I mean, I can't even remember the last time I see. Well, I'm sure I've seen them, but the last time I think I was involved in a project with textured walls, we were skimming them out. We were leveling them out. You know, we pull off the baseboard, ball off the crown, and just level them out. Can't remember.
It feeds my. It really helps my superiority complex. It really helps me feel so much better than all the rest of the country that I get to paint smooth walls, and even better, we get to paint plaster walls. Oh my god! Let me keep my pinky up while I paint my plaster walls.
had to paint textured walls, I would probably tell them to spray with an oil primer, and then no matter what you do on top, you'll probably be pretty safe. But most textured coatings are done with a water mixture, and if you put anything that has water in it on top of it, you're looking for trouble unless you seal it first. So I would say oil prime it. That would be my gut intuition.
Love it. All right, I need your favorite piece of paint paraphernalia. Could be a tool, piece of equipment, software program, you name it.
My favorite piece of painting equipment, and I sold it. I mean, I talked about it a lot when I got it, and I still love it the same way as the Cis-Lite.
Yeah.
I think the Festool Cis-Lite is one of the greatest tools a painter can have that wants to produce flawless coatings. It really, if you have good eyesight, you know, I'm getting up there, but it really shows you every detail of a surface. You know, we go a step beyond when you get the guide codes, but for standard painting, for all the way up to, you know, an 8 level, a Cis-Lite really is a really great investment.
The inspection light.
Yeah, the long.
Yeah.
Cis-Lite, yeah.
You want to know what it's going to look like with paint on it?
Boom.
Gloss paint on it? Put the light on it first. First time I ever did it, I went, what have I been missing?
Yeah.
Like, why did I think a $350 light was not going to be worth it? It came from Festool. That's the best money. I agree. It's the best investment you can make if you're trying to achieve a good finish.
Yeah.
It shows you into the future.
Yeah.
We use it on everything. You use it for skin coating, for sanding the walls. It shows you all the texture. It shows you the humps. It shows you everything. So
it's a portal into the future. It's
But
beautiful.
Yeah, not only that, it allows you to show your client. If you find yourself, what do you expect from this project? What are you looking for on these walls? Well, I just want to paint it and this.
So
Boom.
So I've been trying to convert him, Zach, and I'm going to tell you, the same, to buy a Cis-Lite, put it on your shoulder pack, bring it with you when you're doing a job. Use it as a selling tool to sell skim coats.
Hang on a second. He wants me to carry samples. He wants me to carry laptops. He wants me to carry Cis-Lite. You know what I need? I need the rucksack. You know, the big pack.
Dude, I was going to say, weren't you in the Army? You look like you're built to carry.
There's not enough
sees
equipment.
you as the pack horse.
That's it. You fucking
There's not enough equipment that Mr. Cassidy would have you carrying. He'd have you humping stuff through the city.
Truck. It's in the back seat. Just stop whining.
For me, it would be estimating software and project tracking software. Changed and made life so much easier for me. Being able to run your project through whatever project tracking. We use Trello. I like Trello. I like the colors. There's a bunch of them out there. We may be considering moving on to a different one in the future. We just like it. It just allows him to see where we are, you know, billing, invoicing, projects, process, where it is across the board. You look it on your phone, it's right there. So he knows, you know, if I'm telling, if he puts things on my board, I see him in queue, and, you know, he tracks them across and stuff like that. Estimating software, the same thing. You know, you're able to have a decent software package that you can just put your information into, the client information, you know, populate it as you need it to define the actual project you're on. Boom, send it. And you know, that's been great for us.
What do you use for that?
We're using Estimate Rocket. Again, basic. You know, I'm kind of at the higher end of it now, where I've kind of got it fine tuned. Considering one or two other platforms, What are you on?
We use House Call Pro, and I don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you say. Look,
Have you seen? If you've never seen a shoreline proposal, it would make you consider Proposify.
what's it called?
Proposal.
Proposify.
I mean, does it?
I
Yeah,
know about Chris. Yeah.
They have a beautiful proposal,
yeah. There's a bunch of them out.
and they get it to you 30 minutes after they meet with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
That's gonna make your sales rate
yeah,
go through the roof. I bid projects so fast now. I am a firm believer in I would rather give a price that's 10% higher right away than go back, crunch the numbers, and deliver it 48 hours later 10% lower. I think you win way more projects when you turn them around fast. I honestly, I just like, I've learned from Chris. You know, it's like, oh, boom. And
you know, for me, it's the time in the office. You know, I'm between the road and the office. To say it's kind of a feast or a famine. I'm either here doing that or I'm out on the road doing that. So I have to find that. I'm getting better at it, but I definitely have to find that middle ground. Yeah.
I'm trying to price it before I leave it. Right.
Okay.
Well, I do the Chris method now. I walk room to room. Oh, this room's $8,000. This room's $7,500.
Yeah.
This room's like almost by $500 increments, and because it's
you know stage, yeah, you know
it generally, and I'd much rather lean $500 high per room, get them the price on the spot.
Yeah,
that's gonna sell better than every single, you know.
Yeah,
people want stuff now. Like when I want to buy something, if you don't answer the phone, I'm calling the next company.
Yeah.
So to think that my clients want to wait for now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes if I don't go out and see it, that screws up the whole process, right? Because then if I get plans or I get pictures through text, now imagine.
Let me ask you a question. What are you doing about plans, sets of drawings? Are you sending them out or are you doing them yourself?
So generally what I'm doing is I am taking square footages and I'm multiplying by a coefficient.
Okay.
And I am determining what that coefficient is by the level of detail in the house and the scope of the finishes. And again, I would much rather be 10,000 high and turn it around quick. Yeah. On a big new construction than write out every single linear foot of trim and blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, I'm not competing on price. I'm competing on value. And we're going to give you an amazing paint job. And I'm not getting rich off this. I'm not, pocketing a crazy amount of money. I would much rather just be fast and turn it around. Because so few projects we get plans for do I even bid, and so I'm trying to get that down. I've minimized that a lot. Yeah. And I just bid a project off of plans. I literally went room by room, and I wrote by $1,000 increments. Yeah. 9K here, 7K here, 4K here, 2K here, blah, 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 blah. And then I looked at my piece of paper, and because I printed it off, I just looked at the piece of paper and added up the numbers, and that was my price. And to me, I just look at that as that is so much more effective for me than if I were to spend the next 4 hours doing takeoffs and insane precise things.
I spent a week on a building, all kitchens for a company.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, was it?
Yeah.
They kept changing the scope, sending it back. And 3 weeks, Eventually called him, he come over, we look at it, go through it, those are the number, sent it in, never even heard a thing from him.
Never heard from him
again. And they sent me another set of drawings, and I didn't even look at them on the computer. I just said, yeah, next.
You send me cabinet.
Yeah.
You want me to paint a cabinet? I count up number of doors, drawers, and panels, multiply times the coefficient. I give you a number instantly.
That's it.
And I'd much rather be high and not win the job than win the job and be low. Yep. I'll sit at home and make no money.
No disagreeing there.
I'm not coming to your house busting my butt and making no money. as a general rule, like I'm not a perfect dude and I'm not a millionaire. So like, I don't have the answers, but I think that if I'm studying this is best practice, right? For my market,
Yeah.
with my company and my situation. You know, if you're in a different market and you have to be the middle price to win the job, you know, you have to do some things different. But I'm much more into doing a lot more marketing and being the high guy and winning.
Agreed.
You know, that's what gets me going. Because when I win the project at the high price, what better feeling is it when you walk in to roll out your masking and you have a healthy budget to deliver perfection?
That is true.
It sets the tone. And I now need to empower my people. Hey, this is a 2-week job, but if it takes 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, like, you know, do it perfect. You know, let me sell them. You do it perfect. And, you know, that feeling of winning that job for a price that I would have been thought to be insane 3 years ago, you know, that came from hard work and a lot of mistakes and a lot of options today. And I sent out a price today for a living room, for a music room. It's 13 by 12, coffered ceiling, the whole room gloss. I don't care if they're watching around. I bid it in 30 seconds. I looked at the room.
No, yeah.
And I was like, 37.5.
You just know it, yeah.
I was going to say 32. I didn't even see it.
And that's a realistic price.
It's a realistic price. I know I am not getting rich on that by any means.
Oh,
wow.
But I'm covering my costs. I did, you know, maybe I spent a minute because I just quickly added up. We were there for 5 weeks. If we were there for 4 weeks, what's the like? All right, feel good, send it off. And then I got a call from another contractor. He's like, "Yeah, I just had a call from this designer for this music room project." I'm like, "Yeah, I just sent the price." He's like, "Yeah, I told him that you're the only guy."
And that was it.
And that's it. And I don't, whether they hire me or not, like, it's not up to, at this point, right? Either the client wants what we offer, and 37.5 is fair,
and as you say,
or they don't.
You're not making 15 grand on that profit. You're not.
No.
You are.
And the difference between 37.5 and 34.4 is negligible in this equation. And if it's not, if you know, if you're doing that, if you're paying a $37,000 room, and it isn't negligible, there's something wrong. And you know, because we know how many variables are in that room, and there's no truly accurate estimate, right?
No.
You could do 4 of those exact same rooms and have them turn out to be very different costs. So I estimate to the best of my ability. And, you know, you move on. This is not production homes where the production rates are so standard and it's like down to the penny. We just deal with too many variables.
Yeah, talking about variables, Zach, you're moving, you know, I know Chris does a lot of it, and you're starting to move a little bit up into the higher builder homes. How do you control where you don't know what the variable is? I'm talking about trim that's applied that's not back primed. All looks tight. You paint it. You do all the right things. You prime it with oil. You caulk. You do everything right. And 6 months later, heat comes on and everything shrinks and everything starts to open up on you. But you did
wood moves.
Wrong.
Hey, wood moves.
Okay. Are you going back to redo that, or are you asking all those questions?
No, I'm not repairing a whole entire house full of trim that moved like that. What I did everything to the best of my ability for free. Hey, you paid, so I bid the job to do X. I delivered X. You paid me for it. Well, now there's more things that happened. So if you want me to do that, I'll gladly do that, and you pay me to do it. Like, why am I taking on the responsibility for all unknowns that could ever happen? Do we go to the doctor and the doctor's like, yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I guess.
But I guess I'll put a hard number on it. And then if your tests come back and I have to do more work, I'll just eat it.
I guess that's a question when we see Chris on the weekend. I got to ask them, you know, are the builders today, are they back priming their trim? You know, the higher end builders that are building these luxurious homes, are they doing that? Are you getting that kind of quality in the build before you get it or not? You know, I'm just curious. It's one of those things that you know, because I see wood shrink all the time. Yeah, wood moves, but it moves a lot more if it's not back primed.
I think that just being like, hey, we are not a nonprofit. We're also not a scam. We are trying to be fair. And if things come up that we could not have foreseen, it's on you, client, who wants a nice thing, to pay for that. It's not on me. Like, I'm not living in a multi-million-dollar home getting a $30,000 room painted. So if something comes up that's unforeseen, why am I paying for it? That is fucked up. Like, I don't like it at all. It's not fair. It's not professional. And, you know, I don't want to do business like that. And I'm training myself to change that mentality. You know, I'm not just going to take it on the chin for you while you then book your vacation to the Bahamas for a month while I just ate $3,000 to repaint your entry hall. Like, what? In what world? You know, and when you see it that way, it's like, of course not. Of course I'm not paying $3,000 to fix this stuff that I could not have foreseen.
Yeah.
While you book your vacation to Aruba. Like, no. I'm here to give you everything to the best of my ability. I'm a professional. And here's what I like to do at the end of the day. Hey, find someone else better than me. If you can, great. And if they say they can do it for less, great. Best of luck. But I am an obsessive craft person. My team is obsessive, and we're doing everything to the best of our ability. And if I didn't see the cancer in the first scan as a doctor, guess what? You still have to pay for the cancer treatment. I mean, I don't know. And I think that's a mentality that needs to change in our business.
Yeah. It's the kind of constant go around.
Well, yeah, but it has to start with guys like you and us speaking out about it, because a lot of builders aren't educated enough about this. They don't. That at the end of the day, it does really affect our product, because we're always the last man on the totem pole in all these places. And we bail out all these contractors, builders, whatever. We make them look really good. But it's one of those little things that I'd like to see builders take a little more attention to. It does require a lot more work, but it gives you an outstanding.
But it's incentive, right?
Hmm?
If we don't incentivize them to do the right thing, why would they? If we're just going to eat it, if I'm just going to take it on the chin if something goes wrong, why are they going to be super thorough? The painter's going to fix it. He's got a hard number.
Yeah. Always the painter's gonna fix it.
It's never the painter's going to fix it and he's going to charge me. It's the painter has a set price, and I'm just going to guilt him into fixing these things. And I'm more and more, I am like, no, I am not becoming wealthy off of running a painting business.
Yeah.
I need to be paid what's fair. And it's not fair for me to shoulder the burden for any unforeseen thing.
Okay.
All right. Last question. I need a horror story. I need the biggest, scariest horror story that you've never told each other that happened, or you've never told other people.
Okay.
I need you to go real deep here. I painted the wrong house. I'll make it a safe space. I painted the wrong house.
All right. About 18 years ago, was in a client's home off Park Avenue. She had this beautiful leopard design rug on the floor. We covered it with carpet mask, and the walls were high gloss red, painted not by me but by somebody else. Weren't fine paints, but one of those competing companies back then. There was a lot more high gloss oil then, so I can't remember. It began with a V or something. And she wanted me to repaint the walls. So I Three of us were in the room. We were using liquid sandpaper and washing the walls with liquid sandpaper with respirators on. We had the windows open because we weren't smelling nothing. And I plugged in a light to see what I was doing. 4 feet of flames over the entire room while we were standing in it. I thought we were all dead. Literally 4 feet of flames. The entire room just went like that, flash fire. And like that, it went out. It sucked all the, because there was no window open, there was no oxygen, and it extinguished itself. And there was one little scar, didn't even burn the plastic. It just ignited. The fumes had come up to about here, and that's how far the flames came up. My heart dropped. I don't think I could talk to the client for 3 days after that. I mean, it was, I literally almost had a heart attack. You're just standing there, you're like, you're in a panic. Your brain just freezes. You're like, what do you do? Like, never used that product ever since. Now I know.
Is that Wilbon?
So,
Wilbon?
huh?
Is that Wilbon?
I think it was Wilbond. Yeah, I think it was Wilbond. Yeah.
Anyone who's not used Wilbon might not understand that story, but if you have, you know that is some of the strongest smelling stuff on the planet.
Yep. When you're wearing a respirator, you don't smell it.
You don't smell it.
Because you don't smell it, you don't see it, but it's there, and it just built.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's one of those learning experiences. Yeah. So that was my horror. So one of my horror stories. That was a big one.
A bunch of years ago, we were working in a house in Chappaqua. The family were away. The daughter was home. She was about, it was a Christmas. She was about, 17-ish. And I think it was the day before Christmas Eve we're leaving. We had just put a bunch of stuff back. The Christmas tree was up. The family was coming home the next day. I was living in Pleasantville at the time, which wasn't too far away. And I go home, I get a page. There's a page with them. Get a 911 page from the designer who was in New York. And she says to me, were you at Wayland's today? I said, I was. She said, you've got to go back over there. What happened? She said, one of your guys did something and there's a problem over there. I said, all right. I drive over. I walk in the front door. Laying on the floor is an antique grandfather clock in fucking pieces. Lying down, we're looking at it. Floor is destroyed. This thing is busted. So I walk around, I'm calling for the daughter, nobody's picking, nobody's answering me. So I walk into the living room, see beer cans. And walk into the kitchen, a couple more cans. She's supposed to be there on her own. I go through the garbage. Bunch of other cans. There's nobody in the house. I look down the back, the pool house. Thing is dancing. There's a bunch of them down there. So I go down and I said to her, I said, listen, what happened up here with the clock? She said, I know what you mean. So she comes up and she looks. Oh, she said, that was one of your guys just before you left. I said, it was the last out the door. And she said, well, you're going to have to talk to my dad when he goes home about that. And I says, look, I said, I can have one or two conversations with your father. I can tell your dad that you're down in the boathouse or in the pool house smoking weed with a bunch of guys, or you can tell me the truth. And then you can tell him the truth when he gets here. So I said, make up your fucking mind. I said, I don't care. Because I wasn't going to eat the clock. Because I was the last out of there. And she told me they were running around the living room. The dog was chasing them. Dog hit the fucking thing. Knocked it down. I said, when is your dad home? He said, he'll be home in about an hour. I said, okay. I said, get your friends out of here. I says, and meet me back up here in a couple of minutes. She came back up. Father came in. I heard about this. What happened? I pointed to the girl. She said, Dad, it was the dog. Nothing to do with these guys. Sorry. She said, that's my grandmother's clock. It was like Austrian or something. But she would have happily allowed me to take the blame for that if I hadn't just found a couple of cans and kind of followed my nose. and found him down at the pool house. It would have been not so much a horror story, but a relief. But one of those ones, if I'd have missed that couple of beer cans and wasn't able to track that girl down, I don't.
Oh man,
There's not enough money I would have had in my work, liability policy.
I have another one for you, Zach. 5 years into when I started, so 30 years ago, and I was just starting out, and back in the same building where I was working as a porter, I started painting apartments in there, 77 Bleecker Street, all the way down the village. And I only had 2 guys with me, and we were painting this apartment, and the owner said, make sure you keep the windows closed. You know, I don't want the cat getting out. And it happened to one of my guys opened the window, and the cat seen a pigeon and jumped 10 stories. And that was the end of that cat. And I just said I didn't know what happened to the cat, because we didn't tell her the cat did a suicide dive, and I couldn't. I just said I haven't seen it. Yeah, and I never forget that. The cat went straight. Oh, look, and all of a sudden I see the cat going frigging out the window after the pigeon. Straight down on splat on the street.
We were working, and he just brought one of them. We were working a job in Bedford a bunch of years ago. One of my guys called me. Where are you, boss? I says, I'm in. You got to get up here. It's a problem. What is the problem? I think we killed a dog. What do you mean you think you killed a dog? You killed the fucking dog. You didn't kill the dog. I think. I said, what's my? Oh, there's blood all over the place. So I go up the pug. And he's lying beside the road, and I said, what happened? On the side of the drive, a big winding road. He says, he chased the tires every day. We come in here, he chased the tires, we'll leave it, chase the tires. Little pug. And he apparently bit into the tire, got his teeth in it, rolled them in it, splat. So
now, we are animal lovers.
I know they're coming home soon, right? So the only other option is I got to call the guy. You know, the wife's coming home. I got to call the guy. And I can call the husband, Jeff. I said, Jeff, Jody here. What's going on? I said, listen, I got a problem here. What is it? He says, it's your dog. I says, one of my guys ran over him with the car. He said, a fucking another one? He said, the UPS guy killed the last one. He had him a month ago. Apparently, pugs have a thing for chasing tires. I did not know this. They chased them. They get very close with them. And this guy just bit it and got a bite on it and thought it was the best thing in the world. Wrapped it.
Oh, man.
He said, what am I supposed to do? He said, look, I'm not going there. Gina's going to be home in a little while. He said, stay there. I'll give her a call. She'll expect it. Okay, so we had to cover it with a drop cloth. And we're covered with the drop cloth. So we're standing there talking. And just the blood is coming through the drop cloth. I says, throw some grass on it just to kind of keep the red color out of it. So she comes and she's upset and she says, what are we going to do? And I says, I don't know. She said, will you help me bury him? I says, sure. Where do you want? Up in the grove of trees, the top of the thing. I said, I want to bring it. I said, guys, get it. Get a plastic bag. I said, go on. And Gina said, we'll tell you when we're ready. We have to get a cross, she said. So I said to one of my guys, go down and get 2 paint sticks and some white tape. And we carried the poor dog up in the drop cloth and in the garbage bag up to the top of the hill, dug a hole, and we called her and she came up and we buried him. And the whole thing, put the stick down and said a prayer from him. The second one in that week. If I ever see anytime I ever see a pug, I remember Jeff's dog. I'm sure you have a dog story yourself. That has to be.
Well, now I have to go back to PETA with hat in hand, and my our sponsorship agreement is probably going to have to be negated.
Oh, back in the days.
Oh, man, those are great stories, man.
Mm.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
It's been 3.5 hours. We've just broken the ZK Live record.
Yes.
And we could easily go for 2 more, but I'm tired and hungry.
Same.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me.
It was fun.
This has been a blast.
Thank you.
A lot of fun, Zach.
It's almost like we're in Vermont together.
Yep. Am I on Saturday or?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a good time.
Oh, yeah. I'll bring some extra wine. We'll party. Stay up all night.
All right, my friend.
All right, boys. Be good. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.